Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Paris Talks Marketing. Today, my guest is David Arnoux, who is the co founder and CEO of Growth Tribe, a digital learning platform focused on marketing, AI, and business skills. Growth Tribe boasts 37,000 alumni, 1,000 plus companies trained, ranked. It's the number one ed tech company in the Netherlands, number one and number five in Europe. A pioneering growth marketing expert, David empowers businesses with data-driven strategies and cutting-edge digital techniques. His innovative approach to education has made Growth Tribe a leader in teaching essential skills for the digital age. David is a respected thought leader in growth, marketing, and business in general. David, welcome to the show.
Excited to be here.
Same here. So I want to dive straight into a challenge that we both are experiencing, and we talked about this in the pre-show, which is this challenge of organic reach. And as founders who are really trying to push founder-led marketing, as we both are doing, we are struggling to maintain the same levels of organic reach at things like that are measured by LinkedIn post impressions and similar type of KPIs. Tell me, to what extent are you experiencing a decline in organic reach, particularly with your LinkedIn posts? And what are some alternatives that you're turning to still try to maintain organic reach to your audience?
Yeah, super interesting place to start because it's what we were talking about the first time we met as well. And then funnily enough, I just, I post regularly on LinkedIn because I like it. And there's one that started exploding yesterday. So just when I'm like talking about and complaining about like in our circles about this, organic reach is down 80%. There's a post that sort of goes and explodes. I think across the board, and to be honest, it's not just for personal branding, it's also from our company account. We do see a reduction in organic reach on most social media channels for the past X months or years. LinkedIn, I think it started last year, like August, where there was some algorithm changes, more pay to play, and some of those tactics trying to game the algorithm worked a little bit less. So then, of course, the recommendations was to provide authentic, personal content. But even that, I'm personally not seeing the same numbers I had a year ago. So a post that would do 5, 10K, 50 or 100K last year is probably doing like 5 or 10.
Yeah, I'm seeing similar things on my end too. Whether it be video format or I think it's format agnostic, or you also
just whatever. There's no method to the madness. It's just whatever's interesting at the moment. I just sort of make it and post it. Yeah. And then some people are saying, but the quality increases over the quantity, and it's not a quantity game. I kind of liked the quantity. I like getting the eyeballs. I like getting the just the attention for me for the business. I like getting those second degree connections, and we get a lot less of it at the moment. And it used to be a Wild West phase of LinkedIn for the past like 5-6 years, a little bit like Facebook back in like, I can't remember what, in the 2010s or 2008. I can't remember exactly. And then there was much more
golden age.
Yeah, and then it was much more pay to play. But we see it across the board, right? On almost all of the channels, whether it's Insta, YouTube as well. I feel like YouTube's organic reach has gone down. Videos that we posted that would get 10, 20K, 30K views. We have 75,000 subscribers at Growth Tribe. Now we're getting maybe a tenth, and we're using the same tactics. You really need to do that link building on SEO, it seems, at the moment for it to work. So it's a lot more work. But all in all, like, it seems that we're in a marketing period that's quite interesting. And I like to I like to call it going back to essentials almost, whether it's for personal branding or whether it's for business, for lead gen. And those essentials are really about, it's almost like it's the 1980s again. I feel like attribution is much harder than it's ever been because of multi-device, but also because of all of the cookie policies. And actually the attribution models, unless you have some sort of econometric person working in the business, it's a lot harder to actually understand where the leads are coming from and where the business is coming from. And I also feel that what we tend to go for, paid ads, search ads, influencer, content marketing, user-generated content, etc., those are good. They're much more competitive, much more saturated. And I feel like we're going back to advocacy groups, stories from the trenches, founder personality driven TikToks, for example, like the example with Duolingo. a lot more product-led growth and referrals, focusing a lot more on existing customers through email marketing and product-led growth, a lot more word of mouth and understanding the customer a lot more. So I feel like we're going a lot more back to those essential core values of what marketing used to be, where customers are people rather than customers are numbers. And I would summarize this into long-termism, long-term relationship building with customers, with leads, with advocacy groups, brand building. We're really going back to that world because attention spans, it's not the spans, it costs a lot more for people to pay attention, both on the paid ad side, but also just on the cost per click is just exploding I would say for the past year approximately, where it's been changing.
I'm seeing a lot of those same things, David. You have this continuous inflation of paid acquisition costs. Those are constantly rising. When you're in a competitive space, they rise even faster. But even if you're in a relatively blue ocean, they're starting off much more expensive than they ever were. At the same time, organic reach is eroding. The kind of organic reach that in the good old days, we enjoyed that on Facebook, later on Instagram, later on LinkedIn and TikTok. But now it's eroding on LinkedIn and TikTok and on YouTube, as you mentioned. So everybody's asking themselves, what next? Where do we go? Where do we go to get to our audience that isn't going to break the bank? At the same time, as you pointed out, proving attribution is getting harder and harder, and it's not going to get any easier in this privacy centric world that we're living in. So, with attribution getting harder and fewer avenues to turn to, what's happening to budgets? It used to be that a lot of people would have a specific budget reserved for performance and another budget for branding, but are those whole concepts getting the division between what's performance spend and what's brand spend is getting a little bit murkier, I think.
Yeah, 100%. So I would say, of course, I don't have all the answers, but I'll tell you from my experience, right? So what I've seen with clients and teams that we're training, and what I've seen from my peer groups. So a few things, I would take this down 3 avenues. So the first one on the paid budget versus the brand budget, I've seen a lot of B2B SaaS peers in the marketing space that have just drastically reduced their paid budget, just to put it quite bluntly, by 40, 50, even 60%, just because it's like real-time bidding is great based on information you can plug in from your CRM, from your HubSpot or your Salesforce, but you really need that human oversight because sometimes the spending is out of whack. So that human in the loop is ever more important for that real-time bidding and for those algorithms. And I've seen budgets being reduced by 30, 40, 50, because that old playbook, you drive really good content, that turns into an email. Then you have the nurture flow. Then that nurture flow turns into a meeting book to potentially sell your solution. Like, those are becoming expensive. So I don't know what your CAC to CLTV bandwidth is, your customer acquisition cost to customer lifetime value, but customer acquisition costs with that playbook are definitely rising.
Yeah.
The second avenue or thing I'd say is that long-termism seems to be winning again. So yes, that brand building, that authentic brand building, authentic content, investing in content on the long term does seem to be working. And whereas maybe if you wanted to get results in like 2-3 months, maybe your time horizon needs to be more like 5-6 months nowadays for experimenting with campaigns. When we look at campaigns that work now, what we do is, and we've seen a lot of clients do this as well, is they actually do something for 6 months, then they go back and then they manually do the journey of the customer. And to start seeing which touch points actually works. That's a nice form of sort of attribution modeling. And usually we see it's a mix, like it's a big mix of everything, which is a pain in the butt because it's hard to do
very
everything.
nonlinear. Yeah, I mean, the whole notion of a funnel is archaic now when you think about it, because it's not linear at all. Every journey is unique, really, and it's messy. Google had this framework from years ago called a messy middle, and we latched onto that for a little while. But it is basically saying that we shouldn't really be designing journeys, acquisition journeys, around the concept of a funnel. Rather, just try to be everywhere where the customer can be, and appreciate the fact that every journey is going to be unique and it's going to be messy.
100%. And rebounding on that one, We do see the ones, let's say if I look at like 20, 30 teams that we're coaching at the moment on the marketing side, because we also do the data and AI side, but on the marketing side, it seems to be the ones that really are investing heavily into those customer relationships. So one, truly understand the customer, like really understand the customer one by one, almost what their pains are, what their strategic initiatives are, what their emotional needs are, investing heavily in nurturing existing clients. So I would say that anybody out there is like definitely doubling down on existing and nurturing current clients rather than the zero sum game of net new, net new, net new, net new. Like we're obsessed with net new in marketing, right? Lead generation, acquisition, awareness, but actually nurturing existing clients, account-based marketing, trying to grow existing clients. I think that the stat is it's 8 times easier to get a current client to spend money with you than it is to get a new one. Yeah. And that's sometimes doesn't come naturally to us in sort of marketing field. So really that nurturing existing customers, account expansion, et cetera, et cetera. And then I would say the third one is just tapping into the power of Gen AI at the moment, where I've seen teams of 3 or 4 that are able to do the work of maybe teams of 10 or 20 within the marketing space by understanding the space and knowing what tools or processes or tactics to actually use rather than just blasting out shitty SEO content that's automated and that just doesn't work.
I think that there's a connection. I think that Gen AI, one of the empowering ways Gen AI can help you understand your customer better is this. I've seen some really great results from developing not only at the persona level, but at the so-called micro persona level or a sub level, deeply understanding the pain points of very specific roles, almost to the extent where I think it can really supplement or even replace doing one-on-one interviews and focus groups. I've been digging into this tool recently called Synthetic Users, and they're using AI to generate surveys basically from different characters that are entirely AI based, like avatars, and it's really really interesting. And I think that this is something that's been done in marketing for decades, focus groups and surveys. But I think Gen AI is allowing that now to happen at scale. And I think that the next step with that is you take those learnings at the micro persona level and you develop a really robust creative and messaging strategy around that. And that's also something I think that is very, very important, which is to really to tailor, to do the work, to tailor each piece of creative to each of those different micro pain points. And I think that's also a big opportunity that's out ahead of us.
Yeah,
It wasn't even possible before with a
to rebound on synthetic users. I agree. So like we've been using synthetic users for I think about 4 months now or 5 months.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Maybe we chatted about it last time we chatted because it's cool that you know about it. Not so many people know about it. This synthetic data creation, and we've actually compared it with real customer insights, and it's as good, if not better, in some cases.
Okay.
So I actually usually recommend to use syntheticusers.com and then to check it with actual customer insights afterwards. And it's definitely an amazing, because it can even recommend some of the wording and the messaging. So like really powerful tool over there. Look, I mean, on this Gen AI subject, what I see is that there's a lot of chat, like how most people are using it at the moment in like 2024. It's prompting on ChatGPT, saying it's all an inflated hype bubble, making some pretty pictures with Midjourney, thinking that transformers are a form of artificial general intelligence. But actually, there's so many more ways that you could be using it today. You could be running multi-threaded search using Perplexity to understand one of your customers' industry, for example. You could be orchestrating and automating a large number of small, mundane marketing tasks using Mind Studio, for example. Optimize your campaign budgets dynamically. You can upload all of your docs, legal compliance, et cetera, and build sales collateral really, really fast. You can even create new email funnel strategies designed to convert new customers like dynamically. Like we were saying, you can conduct synthetic customer interviews that mimic real life with a tool like Synthetic Users. You can turn all of those customer insights into easy, just top of mind, easy to understand visual storytelling using a tool called Jade, Jade. that creates these beautiful visual storyboards of your customer insights. There's like digest.fm that allows you to turn text and scripts into a podcast using 11 Labs voices, for example. So you could be building a first prototype of a podcast in a few hours, let's say. So I think for me at least, it's made experimentation so much faster. This whole wave of Gen AI at the moment. You can also make videos with Descript, Argil.ai, or HeyGen, for example. Stuff that might have taken like months before takes hours now. And it's really allowed at least our teams to experiment a lot faster and to prototype a lot faster, to then know what you need to put into production. Because I've always said that, I used to do a bit of consulting in the marketing and the growth and the startup and scale up phase. And I still kind of do with our clients. We never have the answers of what's going to work for you, right? Never. I don't know your customer. I don't know the pain. I don't know how much funding you have. It's all very contextual, geographic, what works, et cetera, et cetera. What does seem to work is to have this mindset and this process of experimentation at scale, at your own level, at the team level, and at the company level. Why? Because it's from this process of experimentation that the winners sort of stand out. And it's very much like a VC portfolio. It's a probabilistic approach to winning and to being successful, where you try to place as many bets as possible to start to get early indicators of what's going to work and what's not going to work. And that's also something we've been trying to evangelize at Growth Tribe for the past 8, 9, 10 years now, is the scientific approach and the data-informed approach to understanding what's going to work, whether it's for acquisition of customers or retention of customers or expanding accounts. And it requires a growth mindset, number one. Then everybody thinks they have a growth mindset, of course. But the most important is to have sort of a process of experimentation embedded in the team or in the organization that usually looks like gathering a bunch of customer insights and a bunch of ideas. So first of all, actually, it's rallying behind and trying to agree on what's the one important metric that we're trying to improve at the moment. Is it revenue? Is it acquisition? Is it lead generation? Is it retention? It usually even takes weeks to just agree with oneself or even with a team on what's that one metric that matters, that one KPI that's really more important than the others. Then rallying around that one KPI and beginning this process of experimentation where you're going to gather the customer insights, the market insights, and you're going to start gathering ideas on how to improve that KPI. After those ideas have been gathered, I usually recommend start ranking them based on really simple frameworks like the PIES framework or the ICE framework, based on the probability of this succeeding, the impact it's going to have on your KPI, and then how easy it is to actually run this idea based on your internal resources, your time, your areas of expertise. So it's gathering those ideas. This is the scientific method, and I stuck some acronyms on it at Growth Tribe. We call it GROWS. So then ranking those ideas. And then usually what we like is we like there to be a lot of different profiles that are doing this exercise, not just marketeers, also anybody who's in sort of sales or direct interaction with the customer, usually some people from tech so that they bring their technical viewpoint from it, and then anybody from product, of course. So then the first is gathering those ideas, wisdom of the crowds, ranking those ideas also with a voting mechanism using PIES or ICE, probability, impact, ease. And then comes the fun part, which is to outline. So once you've got your ranking, it's to outline an experiment design. And this is where it gets interesting, because when you have to turn those ideas into an experiment, it forces you to really think of how am I going to apply this experiment? And also, what I usually recommend is to put a time constraint of 2-3 weeks to run the experiment. So that's the special part here, because that forces you to redesign your experiment into something that's falsifiable or verifiable in 2-3 weeks, which is really hard. You can't test a content marketing strategy or a partnership strategy in 2-3 weeks, but it forces you to understand what are the riskiest assumptions of that strategy. Could be that the riskiest assumptions are, can I even get in touch with partners? Do I even know who those partners are? If it's content marketing strategy, do we even have the tools or the knowledge or the capability of coming up with a content calendar, for example? So the idea is really to outline an experiment that you can test in 2-3 weeks. And what that's going to do is that's going to get you into the habit of running these experiments and getting the learnings. And then the fourth part is work, execute, get the experiment done. And then the fifth part is to study the results of that experiment. And usually the first 4, 5, 6 experiments you run, you're going to learn to experiment. So that you're going to learn that You don't know how to build a hypothesis. You don't know how to design an experiment. You can't seem to align with the different departments, et cetera, et cetera. And after those first 5, 6, that usually takes a month or two, then you really get into this sort of process of experimentation. And then within 3, 4 months, you start to identify those channels that works, and you start to see those KPI improvements. So for me, it's really, I live by this idea of having this scientific approach to what we do. And this not data driven, but this data informed approach, which forces you to invest in the data gathering, whether it's qualitative and quantitative, which is really hard and takes a lot of time and a lot of long-termism. And then just to wrap this one up, every single team or company that I've seen adopt this mindset and process has been successful in the end, like every single one, whether it's on the business side or also on the personal gratification side.
That's excellent. And one of the related things that we talked about earlier, this mental model for leadership, which you brought up this term of an anti-fragile organization. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the ability to have a certain level of resilience and even to accept a little bit of failure, the same way like an organism can improve its immune system by getting sick and then overcoming that and learning from it. That mental model.
Yeah. So, mental models, they kind of drive the way you make decisions, and it's like thinking in first principles, et cetera, et cetera. And there's a few that are interesting. I'm also obsessed with via negativa at the moment, the notion that we should be removing things from our solutions rather than adding. So small tangent, then I go back to the Antifragile. There was this research done, I think it was at Stanford or something, like 5, 6 years ago, where they put a case in front of a bunch of graduates and they asked them to improve the case. How would you improve this business case? Every single student there added things to the system of the process in order to improve that case rather than removing. So our reflex is always to add rather than to remove. And I would always recommend to maybe ask yourself first, what can be removed in order to improve a campaign or a process or a landing page or a strategy or a tactic or an internal process, things like that. So mental models are fantastic in that sense. And then there's this notion of anti-fragility. It comes from the book Antifragile by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. And it's really this pretty simple notion that we see with living organisms or with complex systems, that there's 3 ways you can react to change or to stressors. So the premise, first of all, is that the observation is that we live in a world that's more and more a world of perma-change. Everything's changing all the time and much faster. Some call it perma-crisis, right? Seems like we're living a new crisis, sanitary crisis, economic crisis, political crisis, every 6 months. At least that's how it's portrayed in the news. So there's 3 types of organisms or complex systems, 3 ways that you can react to that. There's the ones that are fragile, the ones that are destroyed by stressors that come their way. There's the ones that are robust. They can handle it, they can sort of adapt, and they can survive, but they need by adapting. And then you have the ones that are anti-fragile, the ones that become stronger thanks to stressors. I'll give you a little example. So in California, there's a lot of wildfires and forest fires. And there's this First Nation tribe that's called the Yukon, I believe. And they had this practice of doing small bushfires inside the forest for many, many years. And local authorities stopped that practice like 10, 20, or 30 years ago, whatever, because it was seen as dangerous. And the result of that was that all of this sort of bush would grow, and it created massive wildfires, actually, right? So there was no sort of anti-fragility of the forest anymore. And what you would have these big moments of very, very large fires inside a forest. And then authorities start to bring back this notion of creating these small fires within the forest. And the number of wildfires was reduced. And it's the same thing with the human body. It's the same thing with vaccines, for example. You put a little bit of the virus in your body, and the body becomes stronger by developing the antibodies. That's how vaccines work. And so I think with organizations, it's the same. There's a certain way of leading an organization or a team where you are riding the wave rather than trying to command and control it. And for me, successful leadership nowadays, unless you're an absolute visionary, is really about, which is really rare, which is maybe 0.01% of people, is really no longer about command and control, but it's really about orchestrating for change. And that's a mindset and a process and a way of running businesses. Some examples, Satya Nadella, I'll give an example of a big company. Satya Nadella, when he joined Microsoft, and it's very interesting to see like Microsoft's stock price from the moment, like when it was Bill Gates and it's growing. And then you got Steve Ballmer, 10 years of stagnation, and Satya Nadella comes in, boom. And what he did is he embedded this notion of growth mindset. We're no longer a company of know-it-alls. We're now a company of learn-it-alls. And he started to decentralize decision-making. Simple as that, decentralizing the decision-making power. Admitting failures in public. Leadership admitting failures in public. It might be obvious, but it's super rare in many organizations. Creating processes and rituals around talking to customers. Creating processes and rituals around experimentation. We have some companies we recommend. We have this fail board that you can print out and put on the wall, and every 10 fails in experiments or in mini projects, you have a fail party to celebrate the learnings that come from that failure. So I can share the resources, of course, in the show notes. We have this sort of 10-step process to building up anti-fragility, or the 10 variables of anti-fragile organizations. Growth mindset is one, the process of experimentation is another, investing in learning is another. But there's research that's been done on what are the 10 sort of best practices or key variables that anti-fragile teams and organizations have. And those are the ones that are sort of riding the wave and surviving through the permacrisis and actually becoming stronger in these periods.
I really like that notion of riding the wave, especially because rather than try to command and control it, because I think that now in marketing, these external forces are changing, and Gen AI is the ultimate new wave that we're all riding. And I think it's just the ability to adapt quickly and to have the organization take advantage of opportunities, almost being opportunistic, really, when new things come up, to be able to pivot and not say, well, this is the way we've always done things, and either we're going to reject this new technology or just ignore it. But it's that resiliency and humility as well to be able to recognize that, all right, we were doing things a certain way, maybe for the last 10 years, but it looks like that is going to change, and we need to accept it. And maybe this doesn't conform to our 3-year or 5-year plan, but we need to just throw that out the window now, and we need to ride this new wave. And I'm trying to figure that out at our agency, and I think a lot of other marketing leaders are trying to figure that out too. But it starts with a mindset, as you said.
If I can rebound on that one, because I would say, like, for us, at least at the moment, it comes down to 3 things. It comes down, one, to focus. So it's really this notion of via negativa. What can we do less but do better? Really, it's that power law, right? The 20% that gets you the 80%. Apparently that's a fractal law. So there's a 5% that gets you the 54%. I feel like, and I really struggle with myself on this, that long-termism seems to win. You know, like you were talking about 3-4 year plan. Long-termism. Sometimes what we do in marketing is when we see that the results aren't there after 3, 4, 5 years, we just jump onto the new tactic or the new playbook. Whereas I feel like the marathon runners are beating the sprinters at the moment. If you're able to consistently do something well, whether it's investing in SEO, investing in fabulous content, investing in engineered marketing, investing in a podcast like you do here, investing in an email newsletter, the ones that are actually have long-term and don't just change tactics and methodologies every 3-4 months will probably seem to be winning. And then the third one is, I know it's a little bit corny and it's easy to say, but that authenticity, stuff that's not too polished, that's not too perfect, that's not too marketing-y, but that feels a little bit hacky, especially with the Gen AI wave. That's maybe feels a bit more authentic and a little bit more trustworthy and will stand out a bit. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, at our agency right now, we have really three pillars that we're trying to stick to for our own marketing. One is this podcast. The second is our website. We've just relaunched it, and we need to keep investing in great content on our website. And the third is the newer one, which is our newsletter. And because of the challenges with sustaining organic reach that we talked about earlier, your newsletter subscribers is, I think, the only real audience that you will own. You're sure to own for the long term, as long as email marketing is still a channel, and I think it always will be. It never seems to. You can never really kill email. So I think all the other audiences are fickle, and you may think you've got a large LinkedIn following, and I've got a pretty decent sized one also, but I think it's easy enough for LinkedIn to change the algorithm overnight, and then we lose reach the same way Facebook did 10 or so years ago, and the writing is on the wall. So we're trying to focus on basically our website, email, podcast as content generation and distribution hubs. And I still think that's the right way to go. And then we just try to find our authentic voice for all three.
Yeah. No, I love it. And a big learning for me, at least in the last 2 years, has been learning to be patient with the results, and really this notion of patience. And we can't all be patient. Depends on your funding, depends on your P&L, how your EBITDA is doing and stuff like that. Yeah. But just trying to be a little bit more patient with the results of what you're doing, whether it's content marketing or whether it's or whatever, whether it's acquisition, acquiring customers, retaining customers, whether it's advocacy, referrals, etc. I think we need to be a little bit more patient with the results than we used to be, which also you can also feed that patience with a little bit of early signals. So looking at early signals before looking at lagging indicators. And then for companies that need to generate revenue really soon, again, I think it's on existing customers, existing clients, rather than net new. Diving into that CRM, looking at who's using us, who's loving us, going into account-based marketing, understanding these customers, like truly understanding what their strategy are, what their pains are, what their emotional pains are, truly understanding them, which also takes time and patience, so that then you can serve them better. I think that's a blueprint for winning in the next 3-4 years. And then just also a little tangent, I feel like offline is starting to pick up also quite a lot. There's this thirst and this desire for non-digital interactions. So that also seems to, like the pendulum is swinging post-COVID again, and we're back to wanting those human interactions again. Takes more time, harder to scale, but you're building up those authentic, genuine relationships again.
Yeah, I think part of that is what I've seen is events, particularly post-COVID. Events have come back in a major way, and I think that's also partly a desire to bring back an offline channel, but also people's own natural instinct to want to network with each other and with peers in their industry. But in terms of pure ROI, it's still not really easy to prove, I think, the ROI from investing in a booth at an event or something like that. But those events are really back in a major way.
You know what we do internally is we take like people who have bought our product. So you look 6 months down the line that are happy with the product. 92% satisfaction rate, by the way, one of the biggest in the industry. And there's 2-3 people in the marketing team. They just plot out the customer journey for like 30 customers, let's say, I think it's 2-3 months. Just see the customer journey, getting every single touch point. And we see it's that mix that you were talking about, that messy mix that you're talking about from Google, that you'll find out, oh, actually those events, like, they've come up quite a few times. Those social media posts, actually, yeah, there were clicks there. I'm not even talking about going to your CRM and looking at their attribution. We do that, and we sit down with the customer and we do in detail, and then we put it on a slide from first touch point with the arrows to show everything that happened. And you really get this intuitive understanding of what's moving the needle within your business. And those things where you can't really measure the attribution, you see that they actually make sense. And then Occam's razor, a lot of the time, the simple solutions are the best ones. You know where your audience is hanging out. You know what channels seem to work best in your industry or for your product. That notion of product channel fit. Does the channel fit the mindset of the product that you're trying to sell? So long story short, like the obvious seems to work a lot of the time, just those basic principles, rather than, because, in marketing, I don't know if you feel this, we have shiny new object syndrome, shiny new channel syndrome, shiny new tactic syndrome. And it's so easy to just jump on the latest bandwagon all the time.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with the tools. I think you and we could probably geek out on an entirely separate episode about all the tools. Gen AI and other tools like the synthetic users. And I made a note that you mentioned another one called Jade that I'm going to check out. But I guess it's a little bit of our nature to want to be up on the latest tools and strategies and tactics. And everybody in our industry is always saying how fast things are changing and the pace of innovation, and we feel like we need to keep up with that. But underneath all that, there are certain fundamentals that really come down to psychology, customer psychology, that don't really change. And it's still the more deeply you can empathize with the user and understand and really deeply understand their pain points, and then make sure to align your product and your messaging with that. That still is the absolute core of it, I think, and the key to success. And everything else is really just the tools to help you get there. But if you don't have that foundation, the best toolbox in the world, I think, isn't going to work.
Yeah, and it all comes down to sometimes 5 customer interviews. I really believe in what you're saying. Like we have a team that we're coaching at the moment that just does like accounting software, and we thought that the USPs and the reasons to believe and the jobs to be done was optimizing accounting flows and grabbing invoices and reconciliation. But when we went down to like the 5 why and the emotional level, like the reason where people are using their platform is that they don't want to have to deal with it, so they can go back to their family. That was really it, right? That was really, and that comes through customer interviews. Like the real reason why they're buying that accounting software is, I want this to work. I want it off my plate so I can go enjoy the family. That was really
Yeah.
basically it. We realized this with Growth Tribe as well. The reason people use us or take our programs is not it's not to learn. It's actually to boost performance in the team so that the company can do better and that people can feel better in their teams and in their company. It was really about boosting performance so that they can get, salary increases and the company goes better and recognition and all that stuff. That emotional impact that takes, and that's the fundamental basic psychology that you're talking about. It's a little bit the 5 whys. And it
Yeah.
all usually comes down to sort of a little bit of happiness in the end and peace of mind. And those are the real reasons why people buy our products.
Yeah. I think so many, if when you really peel all the layers of the onion, I think a lot of times you're getting to the fact that people are striving for a better work-life balance in their lives. And this notion that you mentioned earlier about simplifying things and removing things, I think people want that in their lives also, to take things that cause anxiety and stress and make them more simple, and still allow them to achieve success, but give them more control so they can have more control over their life, more control over their time. Hopefully, AI is going to help contribute to that too, in a way that makes people happier, more productive, and it just takes a lot of the shifts a lot of the work away from humans, but still leaves relevancy for all of us to enjoy our lives.
Yeah, I would say on that one, not at the moment, because you need to just manage a lot of agents. Like for anybody who's a bit more mature, so we have these 5 levels of AI maturity. When we train teams, we have this AI skepticism. This stuff doesn't work, or this stuff's terrible. Then we have sort of AI activation, starting to experiment with it. Personal level, AI experimentation, the business starts to experiment. AI scaling, we're scaling it throughout the organization, and then AI maturity. It's a little bit everywhere. As soon as you start hitting the experimentation level, like still today, the amount of maintenance that is necessary, the amount of humans in the loop. So, you know how the world of internet was supposed to make everything more simple, but actually you're now your own travel agent, and you're now your own real estate agent, and you're now your own researcher, and you're your own consultant. Now you are your own AI agent, maintenance operator, maintaining 10, 20, 30 agents. So at the moment, I think it's amazing, but it is, for me, it's increasing output by maybe 10, 20x, I would say. So increase of quality of output, 2x, 2, 3x, quantity 10. But still today, workload, like there's so many opportunities, possibilities. It's definitely not reducing the workload. So you're doing more with less people, but you still need to be the orchestrator of that co-intelligence, as Ethan Mollick puts it. Maybe in the next 3-4 years, there'll be a lot more autonomy, but I don't think that'll be the case with transformers or with LLMs. Not with reinforcement learning, though.
Yeah, interesting. I do suspect that it may take another year or so for really the use cases that have been tried and tested and proved out to start to come to bear. And I think that's when the real impact of this is going to happen. I think still there's a lot of experimentation and the models are changing so fast. People are trying to just keep up. But tangible use cases are happening, and I think they're going to start to get published and made public over the next year, and then people are going to start to copy those and implement them in their organizations. So all the these early adopters, their successful use cases are going to really start to inspire the masses, I believe, in the next couple of years.
I can share a little list. I had this post yesterday on LinkedIn where I shared like 32 really tangible use cases, also with the tools that should be used. I'll share it with you, and you can maybe stick it in the show notes.
Yeah, please do. Is that the post that you said it flies in the face of our organic reach is declining?
Yeah, it just blew up.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Like I said, it's typical. It's like, it's not recycling. It's an authentic post. It's a bunch of top of mind use cases. It's a little bit messy. It's really from the trenches. It's just struck a nerve a little bit. I think messy might win moving forward. A little bit of messy authenticity goes a long way. It doesn't look formatted and like
straight text. Yeah. Awesome.
Because like carousels and I don't know.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of effort going into making beautiful posts with carousels, slideshows. Well, and of course, video. But I think this is an example of just really a written post that's giving a lot of great tangible value.
And then I'll try to replicate it, and it won't work. So it's just about consistency and posting what you're feeling, basically.
Yeah, it's kind of like SEO in a way. I believe that it's always been this way with SEO, that you need to publish consistently, because even the posts that you expect are going to really rank well, they often don't, and then you're surprised by the stuff that does work. So you need to just follow the data, and the rule is that probably 10% of your content is going to bring 90% of that organic traffic, and whatever you're guessing it's going to be, you're probably wrong. So keep posting and let Google basically decide where to give you love.
That's it.
And then follow that thread. If it's some topic that you're surprised by, take it as it comes, and then just go down that.
I love it.
Iterate
it's
off
like
of it.
Spray and pray, but with passion and authenticity.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be able to spray, pray, and then quickly follow the data after that.
Yeah, exactly. spray, pray, and study. SPS.
Yeah. That's great. Well, David, this has been fantastic. Is there anything that I didn't ask you or that we didn't cover that you feel would benefit our audience?
No, just, as marketeers, we're also responsible for keeping a little bit of nuance in online discussions and in the debate. I think the world misses a bit of gray zone at the moment. Everything's a dichotomy. It's black or white. It's good or bad. Use us or die. I'm right, you're wrong. And actually, the real world is much more nuanced. And it's whatever we can do to bring nuance back a little bit to the public discussion, I think would be great, because dichotomy is a zero-sum game. So bring back the gray a little bit, if that's all possible. As marketeers, as heads of companies, of startups, of scale-ups, we have a responsibility, we have a voice. Not saying we should be political, but just to, I like to evangelize nuance a bit to reduce anxiety sometimes. Yeah,
it's important to be comfortable in the gray area where things are a little bit uncertain and there's no clear answer.
Yeah,
I absolutely agree. Well, David, thank you very much for the time spent today. Can't wait to publish this one, and I'm really looking forward to keeping in touch. And thanks for sharing everything, and good luck with Growth Tribe. Sounds like you all are on a great trajectory. So keep it up.
Yeah, and if anyone's interested in embedding skills within their organization to boost their performance on growth marketing, on product management, or on AI and Gen AI, like really getting through those steps of skepticism, activation, experimentation. We've done this 1,000 times with 38,000 people, 1,000 companies. Just come sign up to a Growth Tribe program, and it works 9.2 times out of 10. So money well spent.
Great. All right, David. Oh, final thing is, where can people find you online?
Yeah, I'm active on LinkedIn. So just come follow me on LinkedIn. That's where I post everything and anything that I'm playing around with. And then the Growth Tribe newsletter is also really top notch.
Great. All right. Well, it was great talking to you, David,
You
and
too.
have a great day. Look forward to following your success.
Awesome. Thanks, Paris. Thanks a lot.